Oh, good evening and welcome aboard, everyone. Let's see it. Settle out. There we go. Yes, yes. Go ahead. Load the chat. Be good, OBS. Behave.
And crash.
You know, Anamorphic Mind already tried to jinx it. Keyword tried. And you know what? So far, it's behaving better than I expected it to.
I'm shook.
Not sure by how much, but better than I expected. It's
Hey,
still
I just
trying
got a
to settle out.
notification. This channel, AT2 Productions, you guys might have heard of him. Apparently, he just went live. We should go check it out.
Right?
Yeah, it's only about 5 minutes behind.
Stupid ads, what popped up for me.
Wait, you know,
I think I've heard of him.
I've noticed YouTube is doing that lately on live streams. They're actually putting ads when you first go to a live stream.
Yeah, ridiculous. Sorry, I did my thumbs up.
Yeah, because
Poor girl.
apparently Microsoft OneDrive likes to do everything that it can.
Go lay down. Go lay down. Don't unplug all my stuff.
But why not? Where's the fun in that?
Right?
Because she won't know she's doing it. She's just wandering around.
My dog does that all the time. The tail will hit a cord and then just yank. You're like, fuck.
Let's end that. Let's end that. Sorry, something about Apple just doesn't like to close down stuff.
Because Apple is crap.
Oh, wait a second. You're on a PC. I'm on an Apple. Mine's doing fine.
Crapple.
To actually transmit everything.
Yeah, you know why I don't try that? Because as an Apple owner, I know that I can't.
It's important that you know your limits.
I recognize the limitations of my software.
Oh.
Now, the fucked up part about this is I'm willing to bet in like 10 minutes, it's gonna no issues whatsoever.
Oh yeah, Eddie. So here you go. You wished.
Aww.
Oh, nice. Talk about your visual orgasm. That's almost.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
You suck. You suck. You suck.
Yeah, I have to say that one was better.
I looked for that one when I was a child for so damn long it wasn't even funny, and I never could find it.
So I'm gonna have to go and run down and get food. In like.
Food's a crutch.
Yeah, because I'm fucking hungry.
Alcohol is not.
I'm already like halfway through the drink, and I probably should eat something.
You know what? Just remember.
Because of my nose, how pink it is.
just remember. It all depends on the question, but alcohol is always a solution.
It's true. It can be.
No, alcohol is always the solution. Chemistry.
Maybe.
Whether or not it's the proper solution to the print discussion.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Did you make that one just because you saw the title this week, Tech?
No.
Because that is oddly fitting.
Right, it really is.
If it matches the title, it's completely unintentional. So.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, because there is a bit of topic roulette going on this week because oh boy, has there been some fuckery going on.
Alright, I'll be right back. Food!
You know what? I'm gonna try.
What are you doing, dog?
Let's bump you down to that. and see if it's happier trying to do a lower bit rate. And everyone's leaving me, man. What's going on with this crap? So the question is, well, the first question, and I know some of you are still listening. Were you at all surprised it found no wrongdoing with the whole Bubba Wallace issue?
No. Rephrase the question. The FBI does not investigate wrongdoing. The FBI investigates crime.
They found no evidence of a hate crime being perpetrated in any way. And part of that is because there's pictures going back to 2018 and older of that same rope in the same way in his stall at other venues as well.
So I don't know the history of the rope, but I will just say that for the FBI to find a crime of hate crime, from my knowledge of hate crimes, you have to, one, have a crime, and then have a bias of hate behind it. So even if, well, let's operate under the assumption that someone walked into his garage and hung a noose over his car, those acts aren't criminal. They're wrong. They're horrible. Exactly. That's a crime, though.
Yep.
If you have a trespass, I don't know if trespass is in the bubble that you can extend to hate crime, though.
No, I don't know.
Well, the only reason
I don't know.
The main reason,
if they did like graffiti and stuff like that, then trespass and graffiti, then maybe
that would be destruction of property. I don't know. I'd have to do some research onto it. Yeah, I don't know if just trespassing you can elevate that to a hate crime. Let me do some research. But
probably not. Trespassing's relatively minor, so as crimes go. So.
Here's where it gets interesting because of the timing of everything.
Mm-hmm.
The initial claim was that a rope fashioned into a noose was left hanging in Bubba Wallace's garage stall at the Pocono Raceway in Alabama. Or Talladega.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was Talladega.
Yeah, Talladega. I know it was, I was thinking, Poconos in Pennsylvania. Because normally this time of year, that's where they'd be, but no, they're still at Talladega. Oh, it's a hate crime. Someone put a noose up, and it's Alabama. People are freaking racist down there. And Bubba Wallace is the only African-American descended race car driver in the top tier of NASCAR.
And I think he say that he had seen it before, and he was so glad that people are finally noticing it, so hopefully that they would get rid of it. And I'm like, dude, if it was me, I would have accidentally cut it long ago.
Well, see, here's the funny thing that the FBI found out in their investigation. Wallace's stall wasn't the only one whose rope to close the garage door had a loop at the end of it to make it easier to grab.
Well, when I lived down in Alabama, that was like the knot everybody would attempt to make. Like while we were in high school, everybody
were they taught that at a young age in Alabama?
I'm telling you, at my high school, everybody would be that's what they were doing, is they'd be trying to make a noose. So maybe it's just the fact that that's the only knot they know. It still has racist origins, but
Well, no. There is a tie to it in the region, but it does not have racist origins. That type of knot has actually been around for almost the entirety of human history in dealing with rope. So that
history, I'd have to
like it. So it wasn't that someone took a length of rope, did it, and then threw it up in one of the rafters in the middle of his stall. No, it was the rope attached to the door at the entrance to the garage for the car.
Now, I have been to many a garage, but I've never seen type of knot on it.
Here's the other thing to consider. Think about that weekend. It happened to be the weekend memorializing the Battle of Talladega during the Civil War. I know I was passing through Talladega that weekend.
I don't know who's buffering more.
I was there Friday night. I was there Sunday. Okay. And that pre-cancellation, there was a parade in downtown Talladega. And because Talladega Raceway has banned any symbolism of the Confederate flag, good on them.
Well, it wasn't just Talladega. That is NASCAR wide.
NASCAR. Yep.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well, they didn't ban that one Confederate flag that they waved like right at the beginning of the last lap.
Oh, that
I thought that was the French flag.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
Well played, though. Well played.
There was more to this past weekend at Talladega than what you would think. And just because of everything being thrown off, it just happened to be that way. And unfortunately, it was probably bad timing and bad taste and everything else for Bubba Wallace's crew to leave the rope up. But at the same time, he's put that rope up in every one of his races where he's qualified to race.
Yeah, he's probably just tired of it. He's just like, dude, Black Lives Matter is all over everywhere, and I still have to pull on this fucking noose.
No, he doesn't. No. He is the driver. He is not going anywhere near the activation of that door at fucking all.
I don't know about that.
So I did a little research.
Okay.
Perusing of federal law, 18 USC 249 Hate Crimes Act. Without going really in depth and trying to understand it fully myself, it appears that there's a color of law and a non-color of law. So color of law, basically, if a cop does it, willfully causes bodily injury to any person through the use of a firearm, dangerous weapon, or explosive or incendiary device, attempts to cause bodily injury to any person by actually or perceived, or because of actual or perceived race, color, religion, or national origin. So it is bodily injury, or firearm, or weapon, or explosive for color of law. For everybody else, it's basically the same thing, except there has to be a cross-state boundary requirement. Because otherwise there's no federal statute. That's the only way that the federal government has the authority to do it. So in that scenario, just hanging up a noose, even if it was douchebag, breaks into Bubba Wallace's garage, hangs a noose off of his steering wheel, it's not a federal hate crime. Doesn't mean it's not a state hate crime.
Right.
But it's not a federal hate crime.
And even then, what they were touting as this, as getting the glamorization as being a hate crime in that way, it wasn't putting a noose on his steering wheel or anything. It was literally the rope hanging from the garage door that they used to pull the garage door down to close it.
Are you telling me that that is the only knot that they could have used for that? No.
And you even need a knot. That's the purpose of a rope.
Right.
Otherwise...
You know what happens when you tie a knot like that on a rope? It makes it shorter.
You're fucking bowling.
No, here's the thing. There are other knots available, and this is where it wasn't just his stall that had the rope fashioned like that. And also, here's the thing. It wasn't a noose. It was a loop. It was literally a loop tied into the bottom of the rope. When we pull up the pictures, you'll see what they show that even go back multiple years. It was a loop tied at the bottom of the rope that I'm willing to bet that there's a hook next to the track, so when the gate's down, rather than have the rope on the floor, hey, loop onto hook. Rope's right there in reachable height without having to exert yourself too much.
Does someone have a picture to pull up to see? Because the one that I saw had as I said, people down in my high school used to make them all the time, and there was a big thing about making sure you had all the right amount of wraps around the line.
I will say that is absolutely a noose. Purpose and cause, not judging on.
Right.
But that is absolutely a noose.
Because the pictures that I've seen, and maybe the ones that I've seen are incorrect, but the ones that I've seen is definitely a noose. And unfortunately, because of my high school, I know what they look like. Because I went
try and share my screen, but I have an apple and it's a dick.
So the middle school I went to was an all-black middle school, and I was one of 10 white people. But I had just moved from Washington State, so I was an outsider of the outsiders. And then when I went to high school, the high school I went to was a primarily white high school, and so the culture was way different. And so yeah, when the high school that I went to, like, that was the thing. They would literally compare their nooses, make sure that they had the right amount of loops around the singular line and everything. Like,
yeah, and how much you want to bet it was their granddaddy that taught them how to do it, and that's where, yeah, you have bad things being taught and passed on.
Grandpappy. You gotta get the nomenclature right. Grandpappy, okay? Alright, I'm going AFK for a second.
Yeah. Oh, Joey, no. With definite, the FBI found no signs of a hate crime in what they were investigating. Is really questionable on the timing, the usage, and the responses that were happening to the entire situation. Where when the news first came out, my initial response was, I hope it's not a Jussie Smollett type incident again.
Now, devil's advocate, again, I'd share my screen, but Apple's a dick. I can't. That is absolutely a noose. I mean, the exact type of knot that you would use for a noose. Devil's advocate, in the climate we're currently in, if somebody else, non-Bubba Wallace, maybe even non-Bubba Wallace's crew, that is unfamiliar that this may be a common thing on some people for the garage door, walks by, knows that that's Bubba's garage, sees that, and it is something to be concerned about if you're not familiar with it, if that does happen to be a common practice. And that person may have rang the alarm bells, which started the investigation.
And it's just... My biggest criticism in the entire thing has been, hey, media, slow your fucking roll for a little bit, and how about let's not fan the flames of division for once?
The White House does that enough. I'm sorry, I didn't say that.
Oh, it's not just...
You didn't say what?
Exactly.
And that really has been my biggest criticism of a lot of what's going on. Like, there was another topic that came up on Twitter where I responded to Onskar, and I said, how about we don't dance along to the twisted story that the media is portraying simply because Orange Man bad?
What you got?
See, now I'm craving an egg roll.
No, you don't sit there and eat without headphones in.
Yeah, put those back in. Come on, there we go. Yeah. You got to make sure you can hear us.
Eat without listening to us.
Hi. So here's
now, do you have enough egg rolls to share?
I have 2. You can't have none of them.
What if I make it worth your while?
No. Egg rolls are life.
He loved you a long time.
This is an eggless roll. They're like, are you really gonna go eat on camera? I'm like, why not? Fuck off if they don't like it.
We're the greatest show about nothing, where we occasionally talk about inflammatory issues. Joey D pointed out that there's video and images of the stall with that rope fashioned that way going back years.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think that doesn't give any credence to it not being a hate crime, because of the fact that they could still be racist fucks 5 years ago.
No. So here's my counter to that. And it's twofold. If it was done with racist intent, why not make mention of it about 4 or 5 years ago when similar tensions were going on? Mm-hmm. Why now? 2.
Different driver was in the stall?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you listen to Bubba Wallace's, the couple interviews that he did, apparently seeing a rope with the loop at the end is not an uncommon thing around.
Mm-mm. Yeah, there's a bunch of racist
Bubba Wallace responds. I'm just curious about what his reaction to this has been.
It's given off a weird vibe, because he hasn't really come off as angry about it, but at the same time has come off really uncomfortable with the media attention.
Yeah.
Because he can't. He is under a rock and a hard place. And the reason why is because he is one of the sole African Americans that is drivers in NASCAR, and he knows exactly who watches him, and that is Southern people. Majority of Southern people are white.
Well, here's a question.
Watch NASCAR.
Well, here's a question. What do you think of the potential of his discomfort with the media attention, being he realizes where it's actually coming from, and that it is the heads, the PR, the powers that be in NASCAR formulating and pushing it to try to make themselves look better than they actually are, and are using him as a pawn?
Potentially. I mean, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I could see. So Bubba's between a rock and a hard place of, it's a shitty thing. Why would you have that? There's 1,000 knots that are better than that. You're in the South. It's just questionable to even do that. But once the red flag was raised on this, and you've got the African American community that is unfamiliar with the practice of putting a knot at the bottom of this rope. So obviously it's a hate crime. And you've got Bubba trying, probably, I would guess, privately to say, no, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. It's not a big deal. While NASCAR is trying to come down hard and say, we are on the side of right, and we are going to fix this problem. And Bubba's just like, let's go away.
Right. A lot of people,
I just want to drive a car.
There's so many people that just do not want to be the icon that they're lifting them up to be. And it happens sometimes, especially in social justice movements, where people try to lift up this bad thing happened, and the person who it happened to is like, yo, like, I'm all for it, but not me. Like, don't use me as your pawn.
And for something like this, it's not even and not me. It's like, I'm all for when there's injustice. But right now, there's not injustice.
Yeah, and let's not craft it just to manipulate a situation and try to make it into one that you can then correct. You don't create a problem to then fix a problem. How about you find an actual problem and then address it?
Oh, that's not how politics works, Jared. You find a solution that you like, and then you discover a problem that requires that solution.
But also sometimes there is a genuine problem going on, but the person doesn't want to be the catalyst of change, because of the fact that that's just not who they are. They're still working and processing through it. I mean, you have people like rape survivors who will not report it or will not testify because they are just dealing with the shit that they're going through, and they just want to keep their head down. They don't want any repercussions. They don't want to deal with any of that stuff. So even if they do believe that there's hate attached to it or a crime attached to it, they won't say nothing because they are just they're and I won't say that they are processing it wrong or anything. They're processing it the way that they need to, and in that case it might be to just shut up and put your head down and do what you got to do. Because there's so many times, especially even in the military, where shit goes down and the best thing to do is just to put your fucking head down and do what you got to do. Because you don't want to have to deal with the repercussions of whatever action is that's going on. It happens so often.
And actually, that's one situation there when you're looking at sexual assault and rape and those types of cases where normally I would be one to stick to the conventions and rule of law that the defendant has the ability to directly confront their accuser. But those are the situations where I don't have a problem with taking a deposition of the victim and utilizing that in lieu of direct in-court testimony simply for the sake of their health and well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, too often
I get it. I get
people
that.
Sit there and try to victim blame or put the victim down because of whatever reason.
And here's why I say I would be accepting of a deposition style being used in lieu, because a deposition is done in front of both counsels and a court reporter. The only change to it that you would have to do is have the judge there. That way you still have both sides of legal defense and prosecution there. And it's done in a more controlled environment that could be more conducive to more victims actually being confident enough to go through and be capable and willing participants at that level, with how long it generally is between the incident, reporting, investigation, and then it going to court if and when it does.
I don't necessarily disagree. I absolutely agree with the sentiment, but having been intimately involved with this process on many occasions, the dynamics of it, how it would happen, is muddy. I've only seen such a thing a couple of times in my career. I saw it once when it was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a stretch to get the judge to agree to that. And it was that was off camera, or that was out of court on camera.
Yeah.
So it was live. It was not deposition style. And the reason that I would generally oppose deposition is because the absolute dynamic nature of a courtroom proceeding. And generally, the victim is the first person to testify, generally. But they are always eligible to be recalled. So if deposition is done at an earlier stage in the process, and even if it is done at stage one of, right before trial, and you do deposition where, both counsels and everything are there, and you're grilling the victim, the complaining witness, as defense likes to refer to them, it's not, it doesn't take into account everything else from the proceedings. Whereas if, the third person to testify brings up something that refutes the first person to testify, you have to be able to re-engage that witness. So a deposition, I would not necessarily agree with, but an on camera, out of court proceeding, something more of that nature I could see. Because deposition is a one and done. Well, and then you don't get to go back at them. And unless, unless every night after the trial for 2 weeks, you go back and do another deposition.
Well, no, and that's where I was using the deposition style of handling the interaction, not necessarily the rules and setup of an actual deposition, but more changing of the environment for the sake of the victim to encourage and have more opportunity for them to get their story, their telling, and respond to these questions and issues in a way that could be conducive, that would be as close to fair while still keeping those considerations.
The one downfall, though, is if it is an unknown offender, you lose that ability to ask the question, is the perpetrator in the room today?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and you've also got it's a weird area. Yes, I agree. There has to be consideration made to not destroying a person who is trying to tell their story of a terrible event. But you also have to consider the rights of the accused. And even if they are a terrible person, as soon as we throw away the rights of the accused, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. Everybody's the accused.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's where trying to find that avenue that doesn't preclude those rights that should be afforded blanket across the board, but also while getting it to where the culture and the mindset that has led to underreporting is alleviated.
Yes, and that is one of the major reasons that people don't report.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to go through the process. And as we've seen recently with law enforcement, generally law enforcement is not always seen in the most bright light. And if you've got the wrong person talking to someone that is trying to tell their story, you get 2 sentences into that story and they have no further interest because you're not on their side. And it's not that law enforcement isn't on their side. It's not law enforcement's job to be on their side. But it is also not their job to judge. And it's not their job to predetermine. It's just their job to listen and let someone tell the story.
Yeah, but then there's also a big problem with certain people in authorities when it comes to things being reported, that they put their own bias on it. So there was a friend of mine who had something happen to her. And I was there during the questioning, and I was trying to be there for support. And I watched as these two guys that were police officers come in, and they would rephrase what she said in a way of, so there was a miscommunication. Is that right? No, he put his hand over my mouth and on my neck. There was no miscommunication. I said no. I struggled. So it sounds like, he leaned in for a kiss and you didn't want it. So I would just push back on that because of that.
Yeah, it's so I started working in this field 16 years ago, and it was a different world. We turned on victims. I'm not going to deny it. We turned on victims quick. Since then, we have come a long ways, and there has been a lot of studies done into the psychology of traumatic incidents and trauma. And if anyone's listening and has been involved with something like this, I apologize. Trigger warning. I've lived through the law enforcement side of this, and I've learned a lot over the last 16 years. But those are bad techniques. Those are terrible techniques. Some of those questions do need to be asked, but it is how they are phrased and the conversation that happens before that. One of the things that has really come out from psychology over the past 10 years is catatonic shock and catatonic state, where you just freeze. And this is one of those things that happen. This is what used to happen in court. Of the door was open. She could have left at any time. Not realizing the psychology of it, that during traumatic events, you physically can't. Yeah. And 15, 20 years ago, we didn't know to ask those questions, and we didn't know that was even a thing. Now, the line of questioning isn't just, okay, the door was open, why didn't you leave? The questions generally should be, what was happening in your mind when you saw the door open?
Absolutely.
And usually you'll get a more deep response of, I don't know why my legs aren't working.
Yeah.
Or there's been several times like, I don't know. I didn't even notice the door was open.
Yeah, I was going to go to that.
There are 375 tiles in the ceiling.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I'll share with you guys something that happened to me. And I share it because of the fact that, like, it's confusing sometimes, like, I'm a very sexually free person, and when this occurred, I was much younger, obviously, in the beginning of exploring my sexuality and everything else, and I was still in the military, and there was a guy that I really liked. I was hoping that we would be able to, date or whatever. And so I got invited to a card game that we could go play. And I love card games, and I was underage at the time as far as drinking, so I didn't go to drink or anything along those lines. I just wanted to play some poker or whatever. And because I really wanted to get with this one guy, I'm like, okay, if I win this round, then I'm going to give you a blowjob. And because I really wanted, to be like, hey, I'm interested, right? And he was like, well, if I win, then I'm getting a blowjob. And so I'm like, awesome. So there's some interest there. So I'm thinking that it's just going to be me and him and everything else after the sham of the game or whatever. I don't even remember who won. But we went into one of the rooms that was in the nearby thing, and we started playing around or whatever, and it moved on to more and more. And I was okay with that because, I had my eye on this guy for a while, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. What wasn't cool is that one of his friends came in, did not ask if it was okay, did not ask for consent or anything along those lines.
Just jumped in.
Yet, just jumped in. Was like, and I'm like, I'm like frozen because I'm like, do I say something and then he's gonna stop? I have an orgasm yet. I haven't had anything happen yet. Like this shit sucks. But this other guy's like, hey, and so I'm like, what do I do? And so I'm just like, whatever. I guess I just gonna go with it or whatever. But I remember afterwards, I was just like, I felt that even though I could have been like, dude, yo, what's up? I didn't say yes, but I didn't because there was that peer pressure thing, kind of like, I don't want to say no because then they're going to stop. And then that's not exactly what I want, but I didn't exactly consent. And so there's also moments like that are kind of like, I don't exactly know what that was, but it happened, and I was not like, yeah, let's do this. Like, that wasn't the case. And so sometimes there's also those in-between moments where you're just not really quite sure what categorize it as.
Mm-hmm. And there, kind of like what we were talking about with the Bubba Wallace scenario, there can be acts that are absolutely douchey and asshole. Mm-hmm. That don't necessarily fall into a criminal act.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that line being less than clear is part of the problem. But at the same time, there is such a thing as overcomplicating a legal statute to where it...
Oh, God. God, you want to talk about overcomplicating a legal statute? You might have been in when this happened, when abusive sexual contact was first added. I think it was in 2008. And now, don't get me wrong,
earlier. I remember the changes. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying that these contacts or these things weren't wrong. What I'm saying is that we had 6 different levels of aggravated sexual contact, abusive sexual contact. We had a flow chart. After a person told us what happened, we had a flow chart to figure out which crime it was.
That does not surprise me.
So damn complicated.
Well, yeah, when you look at just the way it was, things were written in the UCMJ, you can have one act by a service member that would fall under anywhere from 3 to 15 different sections that they all could be prosecuted for. And how the hell do you determine which to go for? Like, which is the better choice? Which is the proper choice amongst that? I mean,
we need to make sure there's a spot on the dartboard where it'll land. So.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's like
134. Come on now.
Yeah, wait, 134. That conduct unbecoming? The general?
134 is douche in a no douche zone.
We needed that one bad. The douchebaggery was pretty tough. Like,
I really wish that we could have added felony stupidity, but no.
Well, that too. Like, so often.
So, a little nerdy law fact. When we went from the Articles of War to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and it's like 91 through 134, or the
punitive
criminal statutes. Article 134, right now, Article 134 is like 15 to 20 pages long, because Article 134 is about 15 to 20 different crimes. It seriously is. So in 1954, when we went to the UCMJ, Article 134 was conduct prejudicial to the good order and discipline of the United States Armed Forces.
Conduct unbecoming.
No, not unbecoming. That's different, because conduct unbecoming is specific to officers.
Well, it was the same. It was
NCOs can be douches all day long. Yeah. Officers can be unbecoming.
Well, that's where they took the principles of the unbecoming and applied it to the enlisted.
Except it was not as
not
broad
as stringent
as unbecoming. Conduct prejudicial to the good order and discipline of the United States Armed Forces. That was Article 134. You know what that means? That means that a prosecutor can literally write a law.
Yeah.
All you got to do is prove that it's prejudicial to good order and discipline. Farting in church, prejudicial to good order and discipline.
We couldn't really figure out what else you did wrong, so
134. So as more and more and more crimes were added, if they didn't fit into, we had murder. Well, now we have murder and homicide. They can fit under 118. We have larceny and we have theft and all the other. That's at 121. But if it was one of those weird ones, they just added it into 134. So, like, for child pornography is 134.
That's hysterical and not at the same time.
It's extensive. 134 is massively long because they just add them there. The problem is that because Article 134 is also conduct prejudicial to good order and discipline, any law they add there, that has to be the final element of it. So, possession of one image of child pornography. And the last element is prejudicial to good order and discipline. So, for the past 50 years, they've had to prove that whatever... I'm going to pull this up to see how many different crimes are in 134.
This is awesome, I'm just saying.
I don't think there's an actual number to it because the malleability of it is why it's the catch-all. It's the and on top of everything else, we're going to get you for this.
But in the context of, like, when it comes to, like, the application of it, I mean, there is literally a list of offenses that kind of define that. That's kind of what DM's talking about.
Yeah, so 134 still has prejudicial to good order and discipline, because you can still create your own law. I have seen that. It was for tweaking the nipple of a dead Iraqi, but that's for a different topic.
Yeah.
I think I've told that story here, but yeah, that's what that one's about. But yeah, you can still write your own law if it is not in code. But everything that has been... Okay, we're in 119. I don't do law anymore, guys. God damn it. I'm a bullet sponge now.
Quite literally.
Literally, yeah. All right, 131. So they have been pulling laws out of 134 because if they pull it out and they can, if it was like tangential to theft, they'll put it into 121. That way they can remove that prejudicial to good order and discipline.
Which makes sense.
Yes. So we've got limited. Oh, son of a... It just went to the bottom. God damn it. It's not like this isn't an 1,800-page PDF.
Wait. You pulled up the entire UCMJ and not just the punitive segment?
It's the easiest way to go through to find what you're looking for. To make sure you've got the actual... Okay, here we go. Here we go. 134. Bigamy. Bigamy.
Yep.
Is bigamy, could you argue as a bigamist that it is not prejudicial to good order and discipline?
Yeah. If everybody.
But as a prosecutor, you have to prove it.
Right. Like, but if everybody's consenting, then no.
But
Yeah,
But-
you gotta prove it.
Order and
hang on.
discipline. Like, you could. I mean,
hang on, but here's the crux to the whole good order and discipline. It is not the vision of the act for those involved. It is the external view of the juniors, soldier, sailor, airman, looking at that person in the situation they're in, and the reaction thereto.
In other words, just the jury at the court martial by it.
Yeah.
right. I was gonna say, like, it's just infinitely biased because of the fact that if you had a bunch of people who didn't mind bigamy, as long as there was consenting adults, then you could get away with it, and it wouldn't be against it. It's just because there's an inherent bias against certain social constructs that they choose not to.
I'll try to
But of the
burn through
people
some
who
of
are
these
more-
so you can get an idea of how vast this is. So bigamy, child pornography, debts and dishonoring and failed to pay, disloyal statements, disorderly conduct and drunkenness, extramarital sexual conduct. That's changed. It's no longer adultery. Adultery used to be a thing. Now they've made it vague enough.
like, wait a minute.
You know, it used to be that technically adultery wasn't touching the boob of somebody who wasn't your wife, but now it is. God damn it.
Oh my gosh.
And how much you want to bet? How much you want to
What's
bet?
that?
It's all because of an officer's wife got felt up by an enlisted man, and the officer didn't like it.
Look at what appeared.
Firearm
Ooh, purdy colors.
discharging
Hey,
a
what the
firearm through negligence, fraternization, gambling with a subordinate, negligent homicide, indecent conduct, indecent language, pandering and prostitution.
Indecent language.
I could have done the indecent language. I mean, I could be
indecent.
like a fucking sailor.
No. Okay.
Well, there goes the entire Navy.
Right?
Yep.
Back your way out of that. You're thinking wrong because this is different.
Okay.
Indecent language regards who you're using the language around and their age.
So if you start talking and cursing and everything else, and there's a 2-year-old there,
Oh, what,
or a 5-year-old,
Not necessarily.
Wait,
that.
Blake. Furball. So it would pretty much be like if a 6-year-old saw a lot of the conversations between you and I, you and Karis, me and Karis, and a bunch of other people.
Hey, I plead the fifth. So yes. So here are the elements for that. That the accused orally, giggity, or in written communication to another person used certain language, and that such certain language was indecent, and that, remember what article we're under?
34.
That under the circumstances, the conduct of the accused was either prejudicial to the good order and discipline of the United States Armed Forces, was in nature to bring discredit to the armed forces, or prejudicial to the good order and discipline of the armed forces, or of a nature to bring it's just like all together.
Yep.
So it has to be discrediting, and that the person with whom the language was communicated was a child under the age of 16.
Mm-hmm. See, it had to be kids.
Yep.
Yep, it is.
So you've been talking.
So, Jared.
Oh, good. So we can cuss a storm off as long as that.
Yeah, Eric, you are perfectly fine telling your subordinates to shut their cock holster.
Been there, done that. So,
wait, we're not done. Self-injury with intent to avoid service, and
Shooting yourself in the foot? Okay. Go ahead.
somebody broke their leg just so that they couldn't get underway. That's exactly what happened.
No. How about how many females in the military could be prosecuted under that for getting pregnant before deployment?
that shit happens so often. Like, that pissed me off so bad.
See, now, okay, let's go through the elements. The
So-
accused intentionally inflicted injury upon him or herself.
Yes.
You have to prove the president. So then you have to prove the pregnancy is intentional.
Oh,
Right. Well,
oh,
that's the
Not
thing.
even that, you gotta prove the injury.
no. Well, the injury
Well.
is the pregnancy. Let's be honest there. Shit ain't gonna be the same afterwards.
Yeah.
And that could be an uphill battle, though.
I
Well,
mean,
but-
if you think about it, like the shit that the human body goes through during pregnancy, that's a fucking injury. Whether or not you like the end result is something else completely.
Well, so here's the
Coral,
thing.
science has proven that women can have a higher pain tolerance, and childbirth isn't that bad.
Bullshit.
We
Well,
your
Wait,
so-
the doors are closed. My wife didn't hear me.
So when
Liam, have you ever plast
I
a football
can-
through your penis? No.
Right.
I think I can relate to this. I mean, I'm a redhead, so yeah, many people think it's a myth, but me and most of the other redheads that I know of, they have quite a high tolerance to pain.
and a high threshold for painkillers. They have to increase dosage
That too, yeah.
often.
That too, and also the a certain hatred for hot weather.
It all depends.
Certainly for me. Well, for
But
me,
so-
definitely.
But so no.
Light skin, you burn too easy.
So here's the
Oh, yeah.
thing. Proving intent. The situation where I made little chickadee cry was because there was intent. She was complaining about being put on the deployment schedule and not being able to spend time with her husband, who is in another squadron on the base.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. And then magically 3 weeks later, she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That she
like,
I overheard conversations. I overheard her saying that she did not want to go. She did not want to go to a shore base in Japan as her deployment.
I mean, I got married while I was still in the military, and we were on separate ships. So most of the time, we were two ships passing in the night. You know, and
Aww.
the first 2 years we were married, we saw each other maybe 6 months out of that time, maybe.
And that's
So-
why the marriage is going so great.
Fuck yeah, like seriously, you have to figure out exactly how to communicate. Like you gotta you gotta have
You gotta
everything
put the
on
work in.
point to be able to do it. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I'm just saying like I understand the feeling of I wish I was at home getting to know my husband that I just got married to. Like almost immediately, like we got married while we were both on leave, and then one of us had to get underway, and then by the time the one come back, the other one had to go, and we saw each other maybe at a week at a time
So
for pretty much the first year.
So Bo asked what we've been talking about. So we have started going through the Uniform Code of Military Justice, specifically Article 134.
Furball,
Yes, ma'am.
you made a statement.
Oh, shit.
Your wife may not have been in the room.
Got
To hold you accountable.
Yes.
The awkward silence is, it's blinding.
I feel like Trudeau right now.
Okay, maybe childbirth is a little painful.
I feel like we need to get one of those like period pain, labor pain, like electrostatic things to put on Furball so he can feel exactly what it feels like to have childbirth.
If someone can get their hands on it, I have the camera.
Like,
Jeez, they actually exist. I mean, I know
Yes.
that you can get those kits that let you go through pregnancy in terms of weights and that kind of thing. But
Oh
No,
no,
the
Bo, there
pain inducers?
there are
funniest
videos
thing
out
is-
there.
Furball will not be
Yeah,
in
the
possession of
funniest-
this
We'll
thing.
give Karis the button.
Google it on YouTube. It is so funny.
What was that, Karis?
Yeah,
So,
you can be sure I will.
So, Karis, one, what were you saying? And two, would you like the controls?
But I did remark that I'm fairly certain that Furball will not be maintaining control of his handcuffs.
All right, Karis, you're very soft for me. So
What?
I'm gonna have to- right? Exactly. What was that?
And the fact that you had them that close within reach.
Is this
Do I
an
need to
indication-
pull mine out too now?
Fraser,
Handcuffs. I mean handcuffs, not not the other thing.
Pardon me while I whip this out.
Well, if you're not wearing pants, you don't have to worry about that.
Pants are
That's why I'm not standing up right now.
right.
It's right not on camera right now.
It's just so quick with it. I love it.
I got a
So
sudden
with
craving
the
for
Article
a peach.
134, like we
He's
were talking
trying
about with
so
Article
hard
1,
to get back on it.
Article, well, there's
I'm
one. I
going
actually,
right
I
to
have
Rule
not.
34.
There's only 2 rules, and I'm ignoring rule number 1. So Article 134, one that I mentioned earlier, that I never dissected because this got changed right like 6 months before I had left working investigations. It is extramarital sexual conduct. It's no longer adultery. Because before, with adultery, it required PIV, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little gray. So
Yeah.
now the extramarital sexual conduct in Article 134 is 2 elements. Well, 3.
I was going to
technically.
ask. My question is whether or not consent matters because
Different
there-
article.
definition is
Different article. Different
Okay.
article. Completely different. So that the accused wrongfully engaged in an extramarital conduct as described in paragraph C, which we'll have to discuss in a second. Yes?
Furball. It did say wrongfully.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Whose judgment of wrong?
Right.
So,
maybe somebody's like
wrongful-
Maybe somebody just wants to watch.
Wrongful extramarital conduct with a certain person, and then element 2, that at the time the accused knew that the accused or the other person, was married to someone else.
Oh,
So it's no longer just the married person. It can also be the single soldier banging his NCO's wife.
nice. That's somebody.
then-
yeah, that was exactly what happened. Somebody was banging somebody's wife, and he was
Behind every
like,
policy.
"I'm
But-
so gonna
but
fucking
hey-
destroy it."
But hey, if it says wrongful, I mean that does leave it up to interpretation, doesn't it?
So, Coral, what's element number 3? We're in Article 134.
Oh, I don't know.
Prejudicial to good order.
discipline.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, no shit. What if you're banging somebody else's wife that has nothing to do with the military? How is that prejudicial to good order and discipline? No answering that,
Their
Karis.
wives are... Okay.
He was
I'm
already
sure the prosecutor can come up with some
I love
stuff.
you,
to throw in there.
Oh, now I'm trying to
And I
find
normally
where
have
the...
handcuffs on me. It's a ball gag.
right? No, I mean that.
Yeah,
It's
but you
okay
guys all had to
too.
fall quiet when I said that.
Quite okay.
Well, of course.
right?
Okay,
That's what
so
we need here.
Here is the definition of extramarital conduct. The conduct covered under this paragraph means any of the following acts engaged in by a person of the same or opposite sex. Ooh, same or opposite sex.
Interesting that they added that.
Well,
Yeah.
well, here's the question.
Why have they even wasted time writing all that nonsense and just say another person or persons?
Because you have to be
It's legal.
specific legally, yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
here's a question. I
Sounds
wonder
stupid.
what changes have they made to the sodomy article as a
I
result
am
as
very
well?
interested.
Well, okay.
Yes. We
We'll
need to
find
look
out.
at
That's long
that
gone.
next.
Oh no, the sodomy article is still there in the UCMJ.
It's been changed to apply to towards children and forcible
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll see. I think that's going to be still under Article
Yeah.
120. So,
125.
but Karis,
No, you don't want me repeating.
But-
What'd you say?
Nothing.
She's like, topic.
So,
Tried that
extramarital
program.
conduct. Extramarital conduct includes the following acts engaged by persons of the same or opposite sex. A, genital to genital sexual intercourse.
So does scissoring count?
That's genital.
Genital, yes.
Genital.
Okay. B,
Intercourse.
B, oral to genital sexual intercourse.
Okay.
C,
So-
anal to genital sexual intercourse. Or D, oral to anal sexual intercourse.
Does
So
that,
they really
mean,
have everything covered.
just for curiosity's sake, does that mean penetration with any type of object, or does it have to be a genital?
Yes, right? There's a good
Because I'm starting to, yeah, I mean, I'm starting to think about the
strap on.
I can't even call it archaic, just damn right stupid. I think it's still in effect a law in England that defines rape as a man penetrating a woman's vagina or anal cavity.
That's the way UCMJ was when I started this, but it has changed much since then.
Yeah.
The way,
So that-
no,
really-
correct me.
The UCMJ is why you wear a condom, kids. It's genital to genital contact.
Right, because I mean, come on, genital to genital contact.
Depending on how.
What was that,
Doesn't
Karis?
necessarily mean penetration.
Karis, can you
And
repeat
it's
that? I
pink
want to take
too.
notes.
Just
Hey, is that a
adjective.
that pen you're using? Is that a glitter pen?
It is not a glitter pen. So, if I'm reading,
I bet it's a
this
nylon
right.
pony
Wait,
pen.
correct me if I'm reading this right. So we've got genital to genital, oral to genital, anal to genital, oral to anal. That does not include these.
Right, I was gonna say fingers to genital.
Yeah.
Or anal.
I didn't hear a provision that would include manual
Or toy.
manipulation.
Yep.
We're good then. Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I mean, what
We
about
found the
genital
loophole.
to leg?
What the fuck?
Yeah, where does dry humping fall in all of this?
Right? Come on. I mean,
134.
And while we're at it, does it have to be one's own leg? please?
No, wait. No. Dry humping would fall under prejudicial to good order and discipline.
Can we go? Look, for both.
Well, it depends on who you're dry humping.
right.
Yes, it would depend on who.
If you're dry humping the CO's wife, yeah.
I mean,
Or the
if you're
CO.
already-
Yeah.
If you're already to that point with the CO or the wife, you may as well make NJP worth it, and then just go the whole way. I mean,
Maybe
don't
that's
spend
next
time
time.
on it.
I mean, maybe you get
It's a
interrupted. You know? I mean, it happens. They didn't say nothing about toys either. I mean, come on, that's just an oversight.
So, Kara, if you're saying this, you're going to get fucked, you should just go all the way. Right?
It's true.
Virillion? No, that was not covered. It's one of the few that wasn't.
All right, I was just about to say something out loud, then I caught myself, and I want to preface this. Right now, I'm looking for sodomy.
Okay.
125.
Don't worry, we won't judge you.
Wait,
How about-
wait.
how about using option
Wait.
F?
Hang on.
Just searched it.
Hang on. 125? Damn, Eric, you're cheap.
Just say all this.
No, 125's kidnapping now.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Yep. things got moved around over the last one because. Okay, back to somewhat serious talk because, god damn it, when they pulled out.
Don't worry, Tech. Don't worry, Tech. He's used to hearing that.
I don't have to say phrasing, do I?
No, I already said it. I got you.
when they removed some of the former 134 articles because they wanted to get them out so that they didn't have that last element of prejudice of good order discipline, and they like slid them in under other similar crimes, they rearranged a handful of things.
Still sound kind of dirty, but yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want
Like
to
pulling out,
you don't want to
sliding
keep it in there for too long. You know, it's just not hygienic. Yeah.
Why
Slip
can't I spell
out,
sodomy?
I don't know.
Yes.
Pornhub does not have sodomy as a search feature.
I mean, at least that word is one of the words that actually spell as they're said or uttered.
Oh,
I'm guessing that it's not searchable.
Oh,
so
What?
you can't
That
search
big
for
PDF
sodomy.
can't be searched?
Or is it
No.
gone? Hold.
they might have removed it.
That would be amazing if they did, because
Well,
honestly,
yeah,
it's
128.
easier to remove.
Hey,
But it's
search
likely this.
for anal instead. Anal
Yeah.
penetration. You know, anal.
Well, generally
Search
all
for
the
anal
stuff,
instead.
all the stuff that would have been in it, it sounds like it would have been. They could shoehorn it under the.
Genital to anal.
Well, keep in mind that the sodomy article was the primary justification for the restriction of homosexual service members. So it could be that when they got rid of that barrier, part of it was
They might have.
removal of that article.
Could be.
Okay.
Oh, and
I just
okay,
have
so
to say that.
and
The PDF I've got right now just is not searchable.
and
Oh, control
Damn.
control F isn't working. That's crazy.
but so speaking of sodomy
Put
in
it through,
general,
yes.
Karis,
Good luck finding it.
after that song that you had sent before, Marilyn Manson followed it with sodomy and, well, cake. Sometimes I'd prefer just the cake.
That's nice. That's great.
I'll take some cake.
So with the sodomy, I was with
side of fries.
General
Oh,
What was this about sodomy in
Does it-
general?
Does it come with dip, or do you have to provide your own?
God damn it.
Hey, Furball, what flavor?
Maybe it's under Article 129.
I did finish my salad this time.
So in 2011, I was with General Odierno, and he went and visited the Colbert Report, and that was right when they had removed the homosexuality clauses to the UCMJ. But they had not removed sodomy, and I think, or maybe they did, but they had not removed bestiality. And one of the questions that Colbert had was, is the military honestly worried about actual Navy SEAL on real SEAL hot action, and do we need to stop?
Yes.
Well, hey, just think about this. You know the saying, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you're in Afghanistan and you want to, let it get the other people to become more comfortable around you, you tend to do what they do. So, sheep and
Just remember,
Yeah.
bah means no.
yeah.
When in Missouri.
Oh.
Yeah, Furball, but maybe it falls under 129.
129 is burglary now.
No, I was thinking the full title on it. But
Oh, God.
Oh, now you gotta read it.
Oh, burglary and unlawful entry.
That would work.
as long as it takes away from the consensual acts of.
Those are all under 120. I know those well, very well.
I can imagine.
Thank God I don't have to live that life anymore. Now, just the bullet sponge.
Well, you're just taking a different kind of shot then.
One thing that was added.
I'll be back.
One thing that was added with this last change in 2019 was, whereas before, a recruiter banging a recruit or a drill sergeant banging a trainee was an Article 92 regulatory violation. 92 is, make sure I get it right, failure to obey a lawful order or regulation. So regulation said, what's that?
They lumped it under the fraternization.
No, regulation.
Well,
so if the post, it's just regulation. It's the same as you didn't wear your proper uniform.
Yeah.
It's a regulation, you violated it. The regulation says drill sergeant can't have sex with soldier. The regulation says recruiter can't have sex with recruit. It's a regulation violation. Minimal punishment. Now, it is actually a crime. Article 93, prohibited activities with military recruits or trainees by persons in positions of special trust. So it's no longer a reg violation to have sex with a recruit. It's a crime.
Sounds
It
nice.
also it also sounds like it by the wording that it wouldn't matter if it was your own trainee or your own instructor. It wouldn't matter.
If you
pretty
are
much
an
anybody in a position of authority over somebody else, yeah.
And it's not even if you're in that position of authority, because I went through several briefings on this, and the questions were like, okay, if I am, a major that's an ROTC instructor at a university, and I date an ROTC student from a different university, and I don't know it, that they're an ROTC student, that's technically a crime.
Yeah.
Well, if you have, if you can,
So my instructor
if you are
a crime, that's great.
Yeah, but still, though, if you can prove within a certain degree of reliability that you had no way of knowing that, how the hell could it be considered a crime?
Ignorant.
It's an affirmative defense.
For her, yeah, for her, for example, it would be an easy way to, get you in trouble.
Blackmail?
Yeah, that's the argument for the defense attorney. So.
Well, so that
but still,
that is actually the number one reason why I did not even consider fooling around with anyone in the same command as me at all ever. Full stop. Because
was
of
that honestly
part.
Your decision or their decision?
Mine.
We'll let you believe that.
Oh no!
Making
I walked.
Something illegal doesn't make it impossible.
No, I walked away from someone who was in the shower begging me to join them, and this was in A school. So I was like, no.
What was his name?
See, and I said it specifically so you would say that. But there is that aspect to it.
Now, this does not. So if you are an officer, an NCO that is at a training post, so if you are an NCO or a commander at Great Lakes, as long as you are not in one of those positions of trust, doesn't matter. If you are a drill instructor, commander of one of those units, that's when it matters.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
I'm sorry, I came in the middle of it.
Well, it comes before I lose this thought again. Ignorance of the law is not excuse from the law.
Sovereign citizen wording.
No,
it's not excuse from the law.
I know,
it is an affirmative defense. But that means that you have to present that defense at your court martial.
Yeah. And I can totally see why you would have something like that. I mean, but it should be worded differently. I mean,
Well,
it should be
well, this is
if
just,
you
I
are
haven't read
in
through
a
the
if
elements
you
of
are
it.
in a no, I'm just hoping that there is something about if you are in a perceived or in a position that could be perceived as being a superior position. You know,
And it's not even superior position.
Yeah,
It's
just
the
position
the
of
purpose
trust.
of this is because that the people that we are trying to protect are in such, and I hate referring to humans as such as this, but they're in such a fragile and impressionable state that while you're in basic training, you do what you're told.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's
While
a
you're
good thing.
while
clean
you're
heart.
joining the military, you do what you're told. So those people, they don't need protection. They need protection from the people that can abuse that ability to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So, abuse of a trainee of training leadership position. Any person subject to this chapter who is an officer, NCO, or petty officer who is in a training leadership position with respect to a specially protected junior member of the military and engages in prohibited sexual activity shall be punishable by court-martial, blah, blah, blah.
So
Abuse
is
of
there
a position-
permitted sexual activity?
No.
Because it said
Yeah,
what
it's
did it
true.
say?
It says prohibited.
Yeah. So is there a acceptable activity?
Yes, you and another service member can get it on as long as you are not a trainee under that other person. That would
There's actually a legal definition they have for the prohibited. So, but it means as specified in regulations prescribed by the secretary concerned, inappropriate physical intimacy under circumstances described in such regulations.
So now here the consent rule question came up earlier. So
Yeah,
consent
matters.
is not a defense for any conduct at issue in a prosecution under this subsection.
I object.
Okay. Question though.
Basically,
that
the only
means what
defense. So what
would-
it sounds
would
like
be-
is basically the only actual defense is that if there was a situation where the recruit and the trainer, let's say they were talking about different groups, and they didn't know each other, were in that position.
Yeah, that would
Because then there's
about
no
it.
authority thing going on there to kind of.
Right.
Well, I
so-
seriously hope that at the very minimum, then, that in terms of punishment, the level of punishment, that there would be a difference if it was informed consent or not.
Oh, okay. So completely different. Absolutely different.
Yeah.
What?
If it is a non-consensual issue, this
Different
this
article.
paragraph does not apply. It is Article 120, sexual assault.
Yeah.
This is consensual. Basically, what this is saying is this is putting recruits and basic trainees in the same category as juveniles with an inability to consent.
Well, it makes sense because even in like say a office or even in the civilian sector, you have something that's very similar in HR where if a manager who has power over whether or not you get a promotion or not, and they have a position of power and can control your livelihood, they could abuse said power. And so that's what it sounds like to me. It's the military's version of that.
Yeah.
With that one specifically, though, as far as like to answer your question about the actual penalty involved, it's just as a court martial may direct, but generally the sentencing guidelines about 5 years.
What that means is that's as directed by executive order. I don't know what the if there is an executive order that's come out since this.
Some of them have it in the UCMJ specifically, but that's kind of.
When this was
the
passed,
guidelines
when this was passed, there was a bunch of criminal offenses that did not have punishments, that Congress left it up to the president to decide
Oh
what
boy.
the punishments were.
Because that's not a recipe for disaster.
Right.
But the
Yay.
guideline on 93A appears to be 5 years max.
I mean, but maybe we should, you get a liberal, somebody
Yeah.
who's, fucking porn stars and
So-
stuff like that. He's like, hey, let's just get rid of all this other bullshit.
You know what though? We all have missed one important thing, and
Oh,
Varelian caught it.
Oh, what is
Fi-
it?
Fingers are permitted, obviously.
Right. That's
They haven't read anything about fingers.
Oh,
They need an article for fingers.
Finger a bitch. It's
Someone
okay.
write Trump.
What are the sexual activities then?
Yep. I would like
Yeah,
that's
well, the-
exactly what I want to know.
The maximum
um,
punishment for Article 93A is a duck dinner, forfeiture of all pay allowances, and fine for 5 years.
Well, what about a not so subtle lap dance with a happy ending, so to speak? I mean, that would be a
See, that's
That
what I
would
was
be
talking
one.
about earlier. You got
That could be-
humping.
That could
yeah,
be anywhere
dry humping
from
causing
nothing to an Article
the
134.
guides. Yeah, I mean, a dry humping session that
But
134.
is it prejudicial
In
to
the
good
guy,
order of discipline? Honestly.
It depends on who's doing it. So
Furball,
Yeah.
Furball, with who you are in charge of protecting, go up to them and start dry humping them and see what article you're charged with.
Does it have to be them or just somebody else while I'm protecting them?
Nope, it has to be that person. And you know what? You got to make eye contact throughout the entire time.
Strong
I
eye.
wouldn't put Furball through that. Sorry. I can't.
How would anybody
Chloe-
be able to do that? I can't even make eye contact through one fucking salad.
Close enough
But
to be
it
able
was
to
a delicious
whisper
salad,
sweet
wasn't
nothing.
it?
No, yeah, yikes.
That it was.
Now, I'll be honest, Jared, that, if Mattis was still in, you might
Not
be
a
able to convince
thought.
me.
Not a thought. You would do it.
You might be able to convince me.
My perception of you just changed dramatically.
I'm gonna admit, not me. My
9 days.
perception of football is exactly the same.
Honestly, that could go both ways, and both ways would be
Okay.
Remember
either good or
Netflix.
bad. I mean, it could. Yeah, it's.
I want to watch. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're one of the watchers. huh?
I had a feeling you were.
Okay. Hey,
No
social
pictures. That's the only
distancing. I
rule,
mean,
no
hey,
pictures.
it's just safety.
Right? I can do it while social distancing.
Guess it depends on how big.
Oh,
Finish that sentence here.
Oh yeah. By the way, I saw a meme the other day. I think it was from Ghostbusters that showed a perfect example of having sex while while honoring the social distancing thing. Yeah. Hey. I mean,
Or swallow.
as it-
pickle.
No, I'm
As-
intrigued. What are you
swallow?
talking about?
Hey, as if I wasn't in a somewhat precarious situation in terms of trying to sleep, having that was fucked up. No, as if I didn't have big enough issues trying to sleep already. Now it's summer
Hashtag
and it's hot as
relatable.
hell.
Oh,
Different
wait.
reasons.
So, Article 95A, disrespect towards a sentinel or lookout. Technically, I am, so take
So-
note.
If
Um,
you
And Article 96, release of a prisoner. That shall not happen next time.
I love it, Eric.
Noted.
That is amazing. Hang on.
Fabulous.
Don't move. Just stay right there. There we go. Much better.
What engines, man?
And the fact that they used the decorative cupcake.
I know, it's so
favorites.
great.
And they're the perfect size, too.
It's so adorable.
I'm
All
glad
right.
they didn't put any nail polish on them.
Oh, Article 98, misconduct of a prisoner, maximum punishment, 3 swattings per offense.
Swatting?
Wait.
Okay,
Like,
what I'm thinking
what?
is SWAT, as in a gamer you don't like and you swat them.
Do
But that's
no,
probably
Into
what it is.
SFM.
no.
No. It's
It's
a firm smack on the bottom. That kind of swatting.
I was-
Oh,
That would be, but that
Wait,
wouldn't necessarily
Hold
be a
up.
punishment.
Hold up, stop. Yeah, I thought it
I'm
was.
not nearly drunk enough for this.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna go get another beer.
Okay, and I'll play with my
Self.
yeah
Yeah, we
You
know.
know what you're playing with, though.
cups.
We could go to.
Jared, check your DMs.
We could go to a different
no.
topic altogether and see if
Sliding
the
into their DMs.
well, see, we can see if the chainmailed kitty has something to say about this one.
Chain mailed. Oh, yeah, okay.
Headline of the article is it time to get rid of the U.S. Air Force?
Well, no. Then the hotels won't get any more business.
And the golf clubs.
Oh yeah, that too. Well, but then they have to start picking on Space Force after us.
What I was gonna say is the reasoning behind no longer having Air Force because they think Space Force is going to replace it.
Oh no.
Oh, it's something worse. Okay.
So let's remember. I'm gonna read from the article now.
Oh,
Here's
gosh.
what you
ready.
need to remember. The creation of the Air Force broke apart the organic unity of the Army.
What?
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, well, keep in mind, what was the Air Force originally? The Army
U.S.
Air
Army Air
Corps.
Corps.
Right,
I don't know.
Air Corps.
U.S.
I
Army
know
Air
the
Corps.
answer. Air Corps.
Fair enough.
So, with the Iraq War over and the fighting in Afghanistan winding down, why does the United States need to maintain 2 large land armies, the Army and Marine Corps? The question seems perfectly reasonable given that the apparent absence of large terrestrial threats, but it leads us down the wrong path. The United States military is all about redundancy. In addition to 2 armies, it also fields 2 navies, the Navy and the Coast Guard, and 5 or 6 air forces, depending on how you count the aerial arms of the various branches. The real problem isn't that the Army is marginally more or less useful than it was 10 years ago, but rather that the institutions that were designed in 1947 when the Army and Air Force split are insufficiently flexible to negotiate the modern security landscape.
Flexibility is always a problem.
I disagree with some of the statements.
Oh, I disagree with a lot of that statement.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of I don't think he really actually understands
No.
the dynamics at play.
Yeah, let's go further. The fault for this lies not primarily with the Army, but with the United States Air Force, an institution built on the optimistic vision that the ordnance delivered from the air could cheaply and cleanly bring about a peaceful American-dominated world. Not wrong with that sentiment. Strategic.
America.
Well,
fuck
no,
yeah.
because think about it.
Well,
go
please.
go back to the conflict that spawned the U.S. Air Force, World War II. The Germans thought, "Hey, we'll bomb the piss out of Britain and get them to submit." But what was the actual effect? It hardened the resolve of the British citizenry, which then allowed their leadership and military to carry on the fight. But what did the British do? Hey, let's bomb the piss out of Germany, and we'll get them to submit. Didn't quite work that way, did it? There's only one bombing, one single bomb, well, two, that actually had the desired effect of stopping the conflict.
Yeah. Okay. And I need to say this because it's true. And those bombs basically murdered, but let's just say killed how many millions of innocent civilians? You weren't exactly targeting military installations.
Couple 100,000 total. That's we did not hit 1 million casualties from the two nuclear events.
Not including the after effects.
The realistic thing, however, though, is like the reason for the split was actually really more logistics.
Yeah.
Like like effectively, like when the split happened, everything kind of started the same. Where the U.S. Army Air Corps was just a wing of the Army, but the reason the split happened is because it got to the point where like literally there wasn't the same training. They had they had separate basic trainings, they had separate officer trainings, it had got to the point where like each group needed so much different training, they really weren't the same anymore. So why have them in the same branch? And that's really why they split.
Yep.
So it's and like it's the thing with the Coast Guard and the Navy.
Coast Guard.
The reason
has
why there's a
different
Coast Guard and
jobs.
the Navy is because, well, let's be blunt. We can't do law enforcement. Military branch.
Yep. And they needed someone to come in.
Yes, we can.
Well,
we
not
can
not
do
in
law
the
enforcement. If people are dead, they don't break the law.
That's not wrong.
That's not entirely correct. Technically speaking, a decomposing body would secrete compounds.
You would get
that
littering.
would be
There could be some EPA violations in there.
Well, no, because you can have criminal loitering, and if they're dead, they can't move.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no intent there, and behind crimes there has to be an intent.
Yeah. And as well as littering too.
Littering and
You could argue it with a suicide.
littering and
Look, creating institutions is all about drawing useful lines between areas of responsibility. Historically, it made sense to divide the responsibility between managing security on land and on sea between specific organizations tasked with training, managing, and equipping professionals in their respective arenas. In other words, an army and a navy. They had their disputes from time to time, but by and large, their missions were sufficiently distinct as earth and water, really. That differences in outlook, opinion, and interest didn't interfere all that much with fighting actual wars. But even from the dawn of flight, it never made much sense to separate the professional upbringing of their aerial warfighters from their sea and land counterparts. Holy shit, this guy is an idiot.
All I can tell is he probably doesn't actually understand the
training that's involved. Yeah. Since before World War I, aviators have supported soldiers and sailors through reconnaissance, interdiction of enemy transit, air transport, and direct attacks against fielded enemy forces. Separating aerial military assets from the ground and naval assets they organically support makes no more sense than the creation of separate arms of tanks and submarines. The creation of the Air Force broke apart the organic unity of the Army. No.
Like
That
there is
kind of
okay,
sounds
like there's
like
a lot of
someone
separation.
opening a box of wine.
Like if you think about it, there's quite a bit of separation between the surface and submarine force. But there's enough commonality that we can start with the same basic training, like the same basic stuff there. We just branch there. But the Air Force has got to the point, even before the split, had got to the point where there is no commonality.
And also,
You're just adding.
Army,
You're just leaving the Army with yet some more stuff it has to worry about that distracts it from all the land shit it's got to do.
Yeah. And speaking from the point of view of an Army nut, I don't give a damn who provides the close air support. I don't give a damn as long as it's done efficiently.
Well,
and preferably by an A10, but it's just me.
Well, that is the beauty of the close air support role. You have 3 branches that can rotate and provide the coverage. Some have assets that are directly tailored for it, the A10, whereas the other 2 have adapted to it because of their own support needs. Like you can
AC-130.
Spooky is still done by the Air Force, but I
That's
more
what I'm
meant
saying,
the
though,
Hornet. I more meant the Hornet. The Hornet can do close air support, not as well as the A10, not as well as the AC-130, but it can do the job well enough in most situations.
Well,
you may be our aircraft are a bit more specialized than the Air Force is. Not specialized, but generalized.
Yeah.
Because we got to carry this stuff on a carrier.
I think I read somewhere that let's see, it would be the Air Force then, was going to retire the A-10 and put in I think it was it an F-18 or F-35? I can't remember. One that a model that was not specialized, but primarily set up for close air support, but could also do the other general things, like aerial reconnaissance.
That was thought, but that's kind of been shelved for now. So.
Yeah,
and they are in full gear in terms of upgrading the current A-10s too, and they've started building new A-10s.
Yeah, they tried to kill
a while ago now, but
they've tried to kill the A-10. Was it like 3 or 4 times in the last 10 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
but I was so happy to hear that he has that I heard about the contracts where they were going to build more of them. That was last year. I read it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would have a revolt from the infantrymen if you tried to take away the A-10, because they've revolted before because of that.
The A-10 probably needs to be. The A-10 is a very old airframe. It probably does, in fact, need to be replaced. But if you're going to replace it, you actually have to replace it with something that actually can replace it. So.
With something that is at minimum as good or better.
Well,
for that role,
and the F-35A can't replace an A-10. So.
No. Let's even go further back than that. What was the F-18 originally intended to replace?
Yeah,
the A-6.
The A-6, the A-7, the F-8, and the F-14. the original plan, the Legacy Hornet, was supposed to do the job of the F-14. When they realized, oh shoot, it can't carry the payload, and it can't quite do the fleet protection role as well, we need something a little bit bigger and better. And that's where the Super Hornet came in.
Yeah.
But
the F-18 did a good job of replacing the A6 and stuff. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those attack rolls, it did great at replacing. And
it just wasn't a fighter interceptor.
No. And even the Super Hornet doesn't do that role as well as the 14 did.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for the 14. So.
Yeah.
Is that because of Tom Cruise?
Well, no, it's actually I grew up less than a mile from Ines Oceana. I went to school every day. Tomcats flying overhead, and sound of their engines warming up. So there's a lot of nostalgia with that aircraft. I
keep forgetting you're just south of me, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, and
there was nothing prettier than a VF-84 Tomcat either.
VF2.
No. VF-84.
Now I gotta Google it.
The Jolly Rogers
did. Jolly Rogers.
Yeah, the Jolly Rogers did have some good tail art, but so did the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, there's another. Who has the Jolly Rogers now?
101.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Every time I hear that, I think Jolly Ranchers. Even though I know it's not, but it still makes me want some Jolly Ranchers. Just saying.
I mean, come on. The VF-84 inspired, Macross used them on aircraft.
True. Oh, well, a combination of them and VF-1, the Wolf Pack.
Oh, yeah. That was just some classic tail art there.
Well, and that is the thing. Your 70s into the early and mid-80s tail art of the F-14s had... If there was a competition amongst all the squadrons for tail art, the F-14 squadrons win, hands down. Although 114 was weird. Do you remember which one they were?
No.
The Aardvarks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Another one that was interesting. A squadron that's still active, but flying the Super Hornet. The Red Rippers. They have a boar's head as part of their iconography.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, again, not a bad-looking paint scheme on the bird. But now pull up a VF2.
In the black and gold. You can't go wrong with black and gold either. So.
Alright.
Let me look for a VF2 Tomcat. Hold on a second.
Well, yeah, because the Bounty Hunters are still flying, but with the Super Hornet. Their heritage, their celebration before retiring the F-14 was actually really good. The nice thing with the Bounty Hunters, red, white, and blue. With a bit of yellow accent. As a matter of fact, I kind of wish I had a camera, because I got a decent size model of... another good one. But...
You have a phone?
But it's not hooked up to meets. And I don't feel like getting out of my chair to go over to it, because here's a third one in the running.
You poor little thing.
VF-111.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the last paint scheme that they did.
Tomcat, just a gorgeous fighter.
Yeah. Now, interesting one, the VF-111, they had to cover the tail art whenever they would pull into a Japanese port.
Huh? Why?
Oh, I think Eric is pulling up the picture to show exactly why.
Oh yeah, I can see now.
So Bo, the nickname of VF-111, the Sundowners.
Ooh. Oh man, yeah. I saw some of those those snafu videos on Periscope films where they used the inverted version of the rising sun, the flag as a target. Sundowners, yeah. Ugh.
Okay. Let's see which one you found this time. And actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and... Yeah. Now, what's nice with 111 is they also had the shark mouth on the nose.
Yeah, you can see it there.
I believe our F-16s had that as standard for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken.
If I remember correctly, I think that started with the Flying Tigers in China in early World War II.
It's hard to tell. There was a lot of World War II aircraft that had it.
Yeah, the Flying Tigers were the first of the American Air Forces to actually be in combat and do that sort of art and iconography. So they do have the credit as being the first. Not the only, the first.
Yeah, because they were done. Because I remember them being on they were on some of the earlier aircraft, like P-40s too. Spitfires would be painted with it, like of the UK or UK Royal Air Force. I don't know.
I think I've even seen. I think I've even seen a shark mouth painted on a Lynx, without a radome under the nose.
Well, that's the thing.
Can't remember what country it was from though.
Well, so like your aircraft, even like the F8 and the A7, though having the intake right there, just fit for having that artwork on the front of the aircraft.
Oh yeah. Just like the A10, it was perfect. For the mouth.
So getting back to the article, by contrast, the Navy, though threatened by air power pioneer Billy Mitchell and his ilk, fortunately managed to insulate itself, its carriers, and its aircraft from Air Force influence. And the Marines likewise managed to keep their own aviation arm because, well, they're the Marines. Department of the Navy. Oh God, we're not even halfway through the article. You know, I think it's safe to say this guy was a freaking idiot. Now,
isn't
that
a training torpedo? With the colors?
No, actually,
no, they would be orange, wouldn't they?
Full orange, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was China at one point actually had a full yellow torpedoes in their arsenal. Not so sure anymore.
Or, I mean, not all torpedoes are like it is like that now. That's kind of an old torpedo design, with the bronze casing. But yeah, even like an exercise like Mark 48, just the warhead section would be painted red.
So
though the rest of the body, like usually like a Mark 48's like, with the exception of the seeker cone, it's just all green.
Are you staring at my bird?
Your bird.
Talking to Coral, the way she's looking, it looks like she's watching the screen, and yeah, she seems to be getting a little friendly with my bird. No.
It's got a beautiful beak.
Leon, it's not red that makes it go
Jared.
faster.
I don't know what you're
It's the
talking
speed holes.
about.
What?
I have a speed hole creator out in my garage.
Oh boy.
Oh, back when the Simpsons were good. But so, what thought did you originally have in mind?
Oh, with Coral gawking at the bird, and I've just gotta say, Jared, he's got
It's
a
majestic.
DS.
I know.
No, it's
You know I do love the birdies.
you got DSB, not DSL, DSB.
I would more say CLB.
BLT.
I've got a BLT.
I would say big water scooter.
You know, bacon does sound good right about now, but what would we do with the eggs?
I would take the vegan bacon.
That there's you can easily use strips of bacon to hold the eggs, to put them on a pan. So
There's Just Egg, which is not actual egg, and
So it's not egg.
not egg.
Remember, just egg is an egg.
Just egg.
Coral,
but it's
that
not-
didn't
Coral,
really
Coral,
sound
Coral,
correct.
Coral.
What?
Just egg
Just egg.
is the same as a sex doll. It feels kind of similar, but it's not the same.
No.
Wait,
You said that with way too
wait
much.
wait a minute. Are we talking?
I spent
hang
a
on.
year in Korea. No fucking judgment from you assholes.
Hey, furball. Question
We don't ever
Hey,
judge.
hang on. Furball. Serious question. Did it cost you $50 US or $5,000
$50.
US?
I've already told
one of those
my
Roxy
story
ones?
of getting solicited in Korea, and I turned it down.
Officially,
Why?
yeah.
Well, being there in South Korea, you got access to them real dolls that apparently some guy married his recently.
Yeah, no, just no. Again, it's not really meat, Coral. You can pretend.
I like meat.
I like meat too, but I think we're in two different conversations.
Harris knows me.
No innuendo to be seen anywhere.
Nope, not at all. Not whatsoever. No idea
Not
what you're
in
talking
the
about.
slightest. Because it isn't even innuendo. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Talking about burgers and fries.
I'll be back in just a second. I need to grab a drink now.
I'm the silver one here. tonight,
This all
Jared.
started with, Jared and his speed holes.
Are we playing holes?
And Jerry in the side chat wants me to say tap tap.
And you know, I found something while I was away, and all I have to say is,
Yeah, you ruined that part. Way too close to the mic. That's just the nerd in me.
no, I'm perhaps a little too good with how to handle the leather.
The leather, as in before it has been skinned, or
Jared, what? Someone tickling your beak.
Actually, no. Let's be more accurate.
eh,
She's petting
is-
the head.
she's stroking the crown.
But just the
I would like to file a
Just
Pretty bird. Pretty bird.
I think
Love that. I need that someday.
And Jared, I'd like to formally protest. Why does Coral always get the corner slot right next to the bird?
Blame,
That's right.
blame Google. Where the hell did you find that?
find it.
Clearly, you do not know how
He's
to.
the guy who put it up, man. Come on. Well, okay, that's €1. He's not. No.
€1. This one.
Yeah.
I really
Oh.
want to know. Who
Oh, Eric. So, Tech, you did go visit Bo. Bo, so how much have you made on that lately?
Thankfully, we did not switch over to the euro, partially because we have one of the world's oldest continuous currencies. So, nope. Thank you.
Well, and if I remember correctly, you guys have had legalized prostitution as the oldest profession for ever.
I'm not sure, but the legalization of porn did start in Denmark, as far as I know. You know, the legalization and the social acceptance of porn.
Well, at least you Danes got something right.
Right? I was gonna say
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like, I mean,
That and
that's
Lego.
pretty awesome. That and Lego.
Oh, yeah.
Until you step on one in the middle of the night.
Hey, stepping on a Lego brick is nothing compared to stepping on a 6510.
Or a
Chip.
D4.
Yeah, I could
what?
see a D4 hurting.
Yeah, but it's nothing compared to stepping on a 6510 processor. You know, for a Commodore 64. That is on the floor, you know, with the pins sticking up, and you just came out of the bathtub from a soak. So your skin is all soft. And, yeah.
Why the hell are you
Usually
letting
good
your
reach if
proms
you
on the
come
floor?
out of the bathtub. Usually I finish in the bathtub.
I was gonna say I'm a little lost here on this bathroom analogy.
Furball. Some of us can go multiple times in fairly rapid succession.
Okay, we're talking about refractory periods now. That's great.
I wasn't talking about refractory periods. I was more talking reach.
Some are more some are more gifted than others.
Yeah, I mean,
And just be-
you have
and
got
just
to be kidding me.
and just because it starts in the shower doesn't mean it's going to end there.
Oh, this is just
You know, a
too
romance
good.
with yourself in the shower that ends with yourself in the closet isn't any more romantic.
Who said it was the closet?
Holy crap!
I
Me, I think I need a drink.
I just remember some people have access to hot tubs where other people can't see.
It's my
Are you
backyard.
laughing at LRJ 88 there, Bo?
No, I just noticed that Vegan's old face
camera.
drop connection masterpiece there. It looks like a nasty hangover plus a blowjob, or trying to. I mean, oh boy.
Now here's the thing. She has had some rather powerful storms roll through her area, so we will give it some time to see if it was a momentary or a complete power loss.
I got a screenshot of the O face. Just not that I should have done that, but
Well, I used my phone. But, yeah.
Terrible. Terrible, guys.
I'm upgrading
Thank
to a
you.
22 kilowatt generator here in a couple of weeks.
So, okay, so the question is going to
In the
be...
past 3 minutes. So.
So the question there, Tech, is what's not going to be generator backed up?
Want me to give you a list?
Of what's not going to be backed up.
Yeah, I'll give you a list of
The
what's not
vibe-
going to be backed up. Okay.
The
I
vibrator.
just sent you that
charges-
list.
See, that's what I figured.
Welcome back, Coral.
Yeah, connection. Yikes.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi dropped. I don't know what happened, so now I'm on my phone.
I have a feeling the storm was involved.
I'm thinking that's probably the case. But you know what that means.
Party time?
Come meet the bunnies.
Oh,
Shall we go see the
Fa-
bunnies?
we're going to get bunny time? Okay.
Bunnies. Alright. Hold on.
Seriously, who would ever say no to seeing fluffy bunnies?
Apparently not my cat.
Oh,
Not my dog. It would
Yeah,
eat him.
My cat scared the living daylights out of me one day. Like, it's at night. Cat comes running around the corner, got a bunny in its mouth. Pops it down in front of me. Bunny's totally still. I thought it was dead. I went to go pick up the carcass. The bunny was not dead.
hey, that's the survival instinct working. Cool.
Yeah, I thought it was dead.
wanna
though,
see
so
the
I started
bunnies?
grabbing what I think is a dead
Coral,
bunny, and then it
bunnies.
runs off, and yeah, that. My heart missed a couple beats there.
Give it a moment. She is on the phone, so we'll give her more lenience than we give you wished.
Just ask the kitty, like, what are you trying to bring a pet home?
Oh, there was one time, I forget, was it Murphy or Ruben? I think it was Ruben, one of my siblings' cats growing up, came in and one of his front paws was being held up to his chest, so it was coming in and it looked like it was hopping. And at first we thought, okay, what the hell did the cat do to its leg? The cat stopped, moved its leg, and a moth came flying out.
Actually, the most adorable thing is, like, you know, when I'm calling him and he's been outside, he comes running around the corner going, because he's got a bird in his mouth.
Oh, we kind of see a bunny. Nope. No.
Careful. They're deadly.
So is it
Python.
so is it behind the bunny? It is the bunny. Yeah. There we go.
So it's a bunny-apocalypse?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Here's Blanca.
Or is it because you're a breeder, maybe?
No,
She's a
I
carer.
rescue rabbits.
Ah, okay.
I'm not a breeder anymore. I got that problem taken care of. There's a surgery for it.
ha 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 ha.
And actually,
Snip,
there's
snip.
also
Hagrid. He's
a
the size
special
of
type
a
of-
small dog.
Nobody hears.
So I think
that
I'm
more
gonna
looks
have.
more.
I think I'm gonna have to take a trip and just not leave.
Well, with those ears, okay, it's hard to see because of the resolution and the compression, but it looks more like a hare than a than a bunny with those ears. Not the body
He's a
itself,
Flemish
but those
giant.
ears.
Yeah, your Flemish actually tend to keep the ears upright. It's not like your typical domestic mini lop.
No, yeah. And this is
A bad connection right there. Yeah.
New Zealand white.
No.
New Zealand white?
Yeah, I have a feeling the connection would be better if the Wi-Fi didn't crap out.
right, my Wi-Fi is being shit right now because of the storm, so I apologize.
Well,
Coral,
besides the fact that
telling you this as a friend, nobody's gonna judge you. But if you decided, and clearly you have decided, to start shacking up with You Wished and use his Wi-Fi, it's okay. We understand.
Yeah.
Love, there's no bounds. But convince him to buy better internet.
I know, right? Like,
Well,
seriously.
417.
Don't go to UWish. Don't go to UWish Wi-Fi. That's a downgrade.
UWish is in the 417 area code. There really isn't better Wi-Fi out here.
Well, no, the problem. Well, I think he's down in Texas right now working and trying to do it from essentially a track phone.
Oh my
Jared,
gosh, that's funny.
Has he ever? He goes around the world. He travels to different places. Has he ever had a connection that wasn't shit?
Has he considered upgrading to a Dixie cup and string?
It's like he intentionally finds the worst connection, and that's how he calls in.
That's
Yeah, and honestly, it's a bad excuse because satellite-based internet connection is actually
Shit.
somewhat affordable now.
No.
Affordable.
No. Okay,
Like a
Bo.
10 megabit down and,
Bo,
and you know, 2 up.
Meanwhile, in the side chat,
the main, if not only satellite internet company
That's
in the
what's called
U.S.
Exceed.
No,
Yeah, it was
HughesNet.
Exceed.
HughesNet.
Sorry?
HughesNet. They fucking suck.
Yeah.
They have shitty business practices and do not deliver the speeds that they claim they do. Does not matter the area, does not matter the weather, does not matter the dish
latency.
orientation.
And the latency is a freaking absurd. Like, even if you get close to the top speed, the latency is like horrible.
Yeah. Well, one of my fellow ham operators, Bob Heil, the guy that also owns the microphone company, he used to have an Exceed internet connection, but that was before that company was bought by, well, I don't know who, but that was practically a clean signal with a 10 megabit down, 2 megabit up. And I rarely saw any dropouts. Of course, there's a lot worse in terms of latency compared to a DSL connection, but you can't have everything.
Like, it's common, like on HughesNet, for like people on HughesNet to see like latencies up in like you'd be better measuring it in seconds personally, because you're seeing like 700-800 milliseconds.
Yeah, I was going to say
did,
700 was not uncommon.
Yeah.
I mean,
At that point in time, you might as well call it like 0.7, 0.8 seconds.
Yeah. I mean,
Is this
I
the
am
internet
used to,
you need when you want to die 5 minutes ago on World of Warcraft and not know about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
maybe.
What? I mean, it took some time for me to teach my parents how to cope with the lag when talking over just a satellite phone. And it was even better when we used landlines that was connected to our satellites. Yeah, IT stuff at Camp Price. That was a way better connection. Although at certain times the connection would go to shit if they had to use the bandwidth for other stuff. But it was fun sometimes to have up to 1.5, 2 seconds of delay at times.
Well, aboard the ships when we were deployed, there were hardpoint phones where you could call out and go over the SATCOM, but most of the delay wasn't because of signal delay. It's because
waiting for
no, it was because they were putting you through a filter to see if you said any of the flag words that they had set up for operational security.
More communication we had.
Well, yeah, you guys had what? 5 lines of text?
We had nothing. Well, VLF, but you know.
PCL.
Well, no, I'm talking the message blocks that would end up coming through a data string. Like, think email, but closer to the speed of a telegraph.
Measure it in minutes per character.
Well, it's a long time ago since I last used it, but using not JT65. I can't remember which of them it was. No, I could do it in RTTY. Writing instead of writing a response and then click send, and just hammer down the transmit button and just type live. It was still take forever sometimes. But
So what I hear you saying is you haven't sped up that much.
right. Holy shit! Viasat bots exceed? What the hell? Huh? Viasat, the television. TV broadcasting company bought Exceed. What the hell?
Well, it doesn't surprise me because a lot of your TV conglomerates are diversifying in that way, and
yeah, and satellites. Satellites are almost not used anymore for average internet use or television still, but that business is slowly dying.
Streaming services have kind of messing with a lot of those older business models.
$150 Viasat here. $150 for 12 megabits.
And you can do that in how many fractions of a second?
I spent about $150 on what I got, like 980 meg down.
This is my blind puppy. He has no eyeballs.
Yay, why are you talking about me like that?
Because I'm staring at you with my non-eyes.
We're taking our dog to an ophthalmologist this Wednesday. She can't see.
Oh, yeah.
Is
it in both eyes or just one?
She can't see out of anything currently. We got to figure out exactly why. So.
Oh, yeah. He had glaucoma, so he ended up losing his eyes at different times.
Well, the preliminary test doesn't show, she doesn't match all the symptoms of glaucoma, luckily. So.
Oh, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be able to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Ours, she was diagnosed diabetic 2.5 years ago. And after we got her on medicine, everything was good. And about 2 months later, not exaggerating, over like a week, she went blind.
It
just
goes
like
quick.
It was quick.
She's about 11, 12 years old now. So.
Yeah, my puppy is 11 right now, so he's trying to steal my headset.
She's half Akita, half English pointer.
Interesting combination.
Yeah, mine's behind me in her kennel. We moved her kennel downstairs today. She's 12. She's a husky. She's blind. She's diabetic, arthritic, and she's having problems getting up and down the stairs. But when she's been blind for about 2 years now, and in our old house in Colorado, she already knew that house. So it wasn't a big deal when she lost her sight. She was able to get in and out. We had a dog door. She'd spend half the day outside. She could go, and our dog door wasn't from inside to outside. It was from the living area to the garage, around, out. But she could figure it out.
Yeah.
When we moved to Virginia, we were terrified that she wouldn't be able to figure it out.
Oh, I bet she figured it out quickly, didn't she?
Within a week, she figured it out, and she's got this house down. But she's 12. She's an old girl. like I said, we just moved her kennel downstairs. She's behind me in her kennel now. She's starting to, she's accepting her kennel down here. Because if we don't put her in a kennel at night, she's going to pee on the floor. She cannot make it out.
Yeah.
But over the past month or so, we have had several close encounters with her diabetes. And I'm terrified that over the next couple months, we're going to have to say goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, my baby is like, he's 11 right now. He's an old man. He lost his one eye like 5 years ago, and then the other one 2 years ago. And I was devastated. Like, I thought that it was going to be such a huge struggle for him and everything else. No, he was so, like, he figured everything out so quickly.
You kind of
He
had
will
to.
do a running jump
Oh, it's
off
amazing.
of the porches, and like you'll see him running through the backyard, and he'll touch his nose to certain things like a tree or something, and then like reorient himself knowing that the tree is there. Like, he uses certain things as like points of reference. And then you'll see him touch it and then go the opposite direction, because now he knows exactly where
it would be easy for hard, flat surfaces, to avoid it in good time. But a tree with, let's just say, a lot
potential
of coarse
sloping
bark on it. Yeah.
Well, something to remember. A lot of people don't realize this. Even dogs who have their sight, once they learn a path, like stairs are a big thing. Dogs don't go up and down stairs by sight. They do it by memory.
Oh, that's what's hilarious. So she's been upstairs since we moved here, and she knows the house. She knows how to get around. Now Jared, you know this, we've had other issues with Snow, because Snow is a little bitch at times.
Snow is awesome. What the hell, man?
Snow has gotten very aggressive.
Sheba,
I'm jealous.
Incidentally aggressive, like incidences of fighting. And the old blind dog doesn't take well to that, and usually doesn't turn out well. So she has spent a lot of time upstairs. She goes and hides up in the closet. She'll go into her kennel upstairs. Our clothes upstairs in the closet are just covered in dog fur, because that's where she lives. But it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But Chinook, the older husky, outside the house. So, where I was coming from. Coming down the stairs. It's hilarious watching her coming down the stairs. We call her hippity hop, because she uses her front paws, and someday maybe I'll make a video of this. It's like front paws together, hippity hop, hip hop.
Oh my gosh, Mazak does the same thing, but he does this thing with his tail that's like a corkscrew too, that goes with it. It's hysterical.
Yeah. When we take her for a walk, though, if we go outside, we'll let her wander around up front. And when we first got here, we made the mistake of let her wander around out front. She's blind. She's not going to go far. And then 15 minutes later, we forgot that she was outside.
Oh, no.
Oops.
And found her a block away at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, no.
Just wandering. But if she's outside and she's on a leash, she's going to try to run. With that leash on, she knows that you're there, and she knows that someone's going to protect her, and she tries to run. She'll get into a gallop, and she'll just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's that safety net.
Yep.
As
I
both
don't even know what he's doing right
of my dogs are parked in front of the fan, taking up the breeze. I guess that's what happens when you get a quick change of weather, and it's been rather warm. And what kind of sucks is Sunday, when I have the most time available, it's actually supposed to be the worst weather of the weekend.
Boo.
But,
And-
you know what? Yeah, we're far enough into the show. Might as well surprise some people. Yes, VT Canar with Damar is taking place tomorrow. You're not gonna guess what time, though. You're not.
You're probably right.
We're starting early.
Really?
Yes.
So basically, you're going to start at a decent, in other words,
Decent time for you guys, Bo.
Ooh.
It's
Yeah. Hey, not just for me. It's Zulu time. Come on. Okay,
Well,
I'm 2 hours away from
yeah.
that. But
Well, yeah. So instead of it starting around midnight, it's gonna be between 6 and 6:30 p.m. your time, Bo.
I'm just happy I'm not in Korea anymore and have to wake up at fucking 4:30 in the morning anymore.
Hey, you know what? If this
It's convenient for Geo.
no, it was trying to find the balance between all four of it. But now that two of us are in the same time zone, it's easier to deal with. And with Gayo's work lately, he hasn't been as available. So here's the thing. We might just end up sacrificing our red shirt and going with this time slot going forward, because it ends up being between either 5:30 or 6:30 where Gio is. On a Saturday evening, he's more available then, as opposed to 4 hours later.
Yeah.
Well, so far he is. He's been more complaining about the workload.
I find it odd that he has as big of a problem with the weather that as I do. In terms of getting too hot and so on. Okay. I mean, he's not a redhead, but
he's
he is
pale.
Kind of chubby. So
he's pale too.
Yeah, but I'm even more. Well, except for the freckles, I'm probably more pale than he is.
No, it's about the same. I've seen both of you. Yeah, about the same.
Yeah, well, white balance is a bitch.
Well, and he's also a nerd now.
Yeah, well, hey, I have signed a contract that states that I have to dish out welding glasses when I walk outside and wear shorts.
Well, at least it's not a paperback. For you. Alright. People are staring at things. It's like, okay, what's going on? What am I missing? I granted, something could be said about Coral right now, but you know, she's enjoying herself. And it's good, wholesome fun.
She's not doing anything I've never done.
She isn't stroking her pussy. I mean, it's a dog, so.
Right, it's a puppy.
Wait a minute. Is it male and female?
It is a male.
Damn.
A male puppers.
I know you were gonna say that she was loving up on her bitch.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
no.
stroking her bitch. Yeah.
Yep. Nope.
What the hell?
Nope. His name is Mazak.
Too late, Eric.
Knock next time. Did you see anything? No, sir, I didn't see you. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again.
Playing with your dolls again. I'm both happy and sad that they will never make a sequel.
I mean,
it's too late for it now. Just for the. I mean, not just because of I suck when it comes to names again. Lord Helmet. I mean, he will never as he has said himself, he will never act in movies again after his wife died in the 90s, I think it was. You know, and that's also why he won't be in Ghostbusters 3.
Oh.
So that sucks.
And yeah, I saw the message earlier. I was more waiting for a different time. Well, more a little bit later. Because from all that I've seen and heard, behavior has improved.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Surprisingly so.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be a good guy. Or I could be an asshole and fuck with him.
I vote for
He doesn't want
second
on-air
thing.
fuckery.
But I'm all for fucking.
Giggity.
Jay is going to have so much fun with this stream once he gets set up at his new place.
That was pretty clean audio too.
That was an interesting statement to pop back in on.
Good timing.
See, what's great is that I've got an earbud in, so when I go out to get another beer and pee, I can listen, but I can't talk back. And I'm so pissed off because every time you guys say something, I want to scream back at and, make a crude comment. Speaking of which, I'm going to pee.
Have you tried screaming louder?
Hey, if you...
It's not my style.
I don't know if I
generally...
could say anything.
well, generally, screaming while you pee is a bad sign.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I have experienced a certain level of pain passing stones, but not to that level.
But hey, Furball, as long as your stream stays strong, hey, you're in good health.
Especially if especially if it's not yellow too, in terms of hydration at least. As a guide rule, it's not a definite
Right.
thing. But...
I wonder if he's taken his earbud out and thrown it across the
Yeah.
See, there are times that certain things you don't tell your friends because they're going to be like, oh, you do that? Okay, let's see what we can do with it now.
Yeah, I basically fuck with it just because I could.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we know you like fucking, so.
Anything, yeah. pretty
Well,
much.
so Anamorphic
Fucking
Mind...
anything?
hang on, Anamorphic Mind does have a
You can
very,
try anything if you're brave enough.
very valiant point, and Furball, I hope you're listening to this one, because you do need to remember, if you shake it more than 3 times, you're just playing with
You're
it.
playing with it. Yeah,
I mean,
and
we aren't gonna judge. Like, play with it. Have fun. You do you, boo.
I'm not ashamed of playing with it. Yes, Karis, Coral did said she's into fucking, and no, I did not throw it across the room while I was peeing, and the stream was strong.
but if you tried to and you
At least
fumbled
somebody's
and
stream
you
is
dropped it in the bowl.
Thank you for the peeing update.
So, what was it? Clear, reddish, or
I
yellow?
didn't pay attention.
Oh, I remember the.
Well, wait.
days where,
He
I
was
was
just trying to
giggling
keep
too hard to pay attention.
He was just trying to keep it clean.
No clean. That's not fun.
Well,
oh, there's dirty and there's dirty.
well, there's so many questions that could be asked, but it's like, do we really want to go down this road?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, what is it like to sit down to pee?
You know, it feels
In the
like
winter,
you're
it's
sitting there
cold.
waiting for a bus stop, you know?
Hey, is there a seat? Sorry, a toilet seat up penalty scheme in the house, Rebel?
Oh, you know what was the worst? Was living by
South Park.
myself for a year where it did not matter. And then coming home and remembering, oh no, I've got to put it down now. I love that look.
No. Oh. Okay. Furball, who do we have read
Yes.
that last comment from the chat?
Oh no! I'm a gentleman. I am not going to impose that on anyone. That's on you, Jared.
I've two votes for
you're-
Jared. Two votes
You're
for
a gentleman, so you warn before it comes. Is that what you mean by being a gentleman? Or?
Oh,
Not giving a warning is just rude.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like surprises? Well, some types of surprises.
Yeah,
Depends on the surprise.
very much so.
And whether or not consent has been
And we do have to remember, going down seems to be along the lines of the rest of the show.
This is true.
I'm just saying. I'm sitting at a nice desk right now.
don't.
Plenty of room down here.
Are you even
referring
wearing
to-
pants?
I'm looking at
I know exactly.
Jared, what you
you're
doing this
doing.
weekend?
no internet. My internet is not working. That's how dumb it is. Dumb.
Well, Coral, have you taken a look at the actual router itself?
That
And-
would be downstairs, and I don't fucking feel like going to down there.
That's just why
See,
I
now,
asked.
Leon
yeah,
has got
just-
a good point here.
Okay.
Tap
Oh.
once for soon. Tap 2 to 15 times for now.
No.
Now that's similar to my signals for my wife. It's like as we're snuggling up at night, it's like, hey, if you'd like to get it on tonight, wiggle your butt once.
Oh, yeah.
If you
wiggle
don't
it
want to
in.
get it on tonight, wiggle your butt 15 to 30 times.
That's what that was all about.
And Furball was broken.
No, I see that being kind of counterproductive, but in a good way.
Well, at least now I know what
got it.
happened.
I think I fixed it.
It's on you. Not my fault.
You didn't tell me that
What?
was your signal.
You you unplugged it and plugged it back in.
I'm sorry
that
I didn't say
fixing-
pineapple.
No, I fixed it without going down there and unplugging it back
And-
in.
And the nerd in me just has to say this because it's true. Always, if you have the ability, don't use Wi-Fi. Always plug it in. Always.
And again, I guess I said cappuccino.
Yeah, all we have is Wi-Fi here. You don't have to deplug it.
Yeah, plug the damn thing in.
I
Hey,
heard,
those I can't remember what they're called, but those power line adapters,
I
where you just
heard
use a
something
power
about-
socket and you're wiring. They're not all that bad.
I heard something about cappuccino.
No, you didn't.
I'm gonna pop up.
Bye,
Did
Coral.
Carl think
Well,
she's
no,
gonna
she
pop
can't.
out?
I think she's switching back to the solid connection.
You don't turn off the camera before you pop out.
Right.
Oh, wait,
I
we're
was
on
pissed.
YouTube.
That's just rude.
Disappeared. I
We're
was like, no, you can't do that.
we're on YouTube. You have to be careful about the introductions that you give. I mean, some
Harris,
some
You've got
views
to
are
admit
better than
that
others.
Coral has been on the verge of popping out all night.
Think about it.
Oh no,
And
that
she's
doesn't.
muted.
Hmm.
As it should be.
Wait,
My
what?
virtual ball gag.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
It-
It happened again.
No.
There
you go.
wait.
Hey, don't get premature there, Bo.
Hmm.
Where are we?
Post-mature.
Yeah.
No premature. Very post-mature.
Post-mature.
Well,
Elderly mature.
no. You need to find the middle ground because there is such a thing as it taking too long.
Too
Really?
long?
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, that didn't sound
Factory
right.
periods count there.
Yeah,
Does the time in the van count towards the too long?
only if you were down by a river.
We literally were.
That's why I said it. I have not seen that meme before. Wow.
Well, that's because I made it.
Oh, you. Good work. Nice. And you know, I would say that's more scary than the actual movie. Uh-oh. Oh, God.
Hey, I have never, ever been afraid of... I have never had a fear of clowns. But I've never been interested in horror movies.
Well, if...
Or thrillers. It's just, not my thing.
Hang on, Bo. If you were afraid of clowns, would that mean you'd be afraid of yourself?
Hey, I'm not a clown. I'm an ass clown. Big difference.
Big difference. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. And on a
I think Bo is funny.
On a totally unrelated note, why the hell has it taken so long for me to find out? Ouch! To find out that there is actually a city called fucking, and it's spelt that way as well.
That's amazing.
It's a I don't know how big it is, so I don't know if it's a town or a city or whatever. But it's in Austria.
Wait, you don't know how big it is?
No, I don't know how big fucking is. I don't know how big fucking is.
7 inches.
It's 12 inches.
Close.
Yeah, no,
So you're saying, Bo, you're not familiar with fucking.
no, I have never been there. I have never gone down to fucking.
That
I think
explains so much.
Yeah, it was from Tom Scott's latest video.
Oh, it's been a while for me too.
All right. So you guys
13
watching?
days.
So you guys watching the stream? Got a couple memes in from the Discord to show. So first there's this one. Let's see who gets it.
Chair's already taking too long.
Oh, first time I saw it, I got
we
it.
established that's not a problem. That's not an issue.
It all depends
Too
on the
long
amount
to
of time.
start or too long to finish. The two different things.
One's a bigger problem than the other, though.
Usually, when it comes to men, as far as I know, or have heard, it's never a problem to, get going quickly. Most men don't know what foreplay is, or so I have heard.
I don't think that's true.
Duck, goose.
Well, it depends on geographics, I guess. Yes.
So, as you were saying, Jared.
So we got this other wonderful addition that apparently is... There's a legit intro to an adult film based on this. Roses are.
There is, because it would be
Okay,
irresponsible
hang on,
for there
hang
not
on,
to be.
hang on. Listen to this though. Roses are red. Praise to the heavens. Hey, it's a whore stealing our lemons.
That's amazing.
I think it's more sensible than like 90% of the pornos I've seen.
Right?
So-
That's amazing.
There is the intro clip that spawned this, linked in the meme section of the VTW crew segment. Here's the beautiful thing. There is a way to get access to that without being a veteran. Channel membership or Patreon.
Woo-woo.
But yeah, morbid curiosity. When we go off air, I'm going to play that just to see how ridiculous it is, because I have a feeling it's going to be quite ridiculous. Don't tease me like that, Coral.
But I'm good at it.
Yes. Stroke the bald part. No, wait. No.
There are so many things that could be said right now, but try to behave, try to be good. I know it's not gonna last.
Oh, so you do have a problem lasting long. Okay.
Oh no,
I heard they
see,
make pills
see,
for that.
the problem is that I don't want it to ever stop. But that's where, tempo and intensity come into play.
As long as it doesn't last more than 4 hours,
We
You
had
need
this
to consult a
conversation again,
doctor.
Jared.
You say that as if the conversation ever stopped.
Right.
Oh.
Would it be wrong if you started doing it to the
Left.
tune of the favorite CPR CPR
Oh God, the Bee Gees.
musical number from Bee Gees? Yeah. Or I can't even remember the band, but I tend to use another one by like Queen, you idiot. I tend to use another one bites the dust because it's fun.
That's the one that's stuff.
Yeah.
That the pacing.
Exactly.
See, you know what? Every time I hear that song, the thing that comes to my mind is not Another One Rides the Bus, but Everyone Rides
Another
the
one
Bus.
under the bus? Another
Another
one under the
one
bus?
rides the bus. From
And another gets
Weird Al.
on, another gets on, another
Yeah.
one rides the bus.
Hey, it's gonna sit by you.
Another
Another one rides the bus.
Oh, you Americans are weird.
How many Weird Al songs are actually better than the original? Most of them. Oh,
I'm Fat. I think I haven't heard that many of them, but
Oh,
I'm Fat
see,
is definitely my favorite.
oh.
he's one of my favorite artists
But
ever.
I did-
all of his CDs.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw the music video with a couple of friends from school, when he finally blew up, we just stopped breathing. Basically, and a couple of seconds later, we just broke down laughing our asses off. It was awesome.
I would say even that one is not even near his best one either.
Oh, there are so many that are top
So
tier by
many.
him. One that just came to mind, Word Crimes.
Yes. One of the best, yeah.
Actually, one of my favorites is Mission Statement. It reminded me of my company's CEO, not the last one, but the one before last. It was like every single meeting I was in with him was
And
described in that song.
I just love being geeky, so I liked White and Nerdy.
I actually made a music video of a buddy of mine when I was in Iraq in 2005 who was white and nerdy. And I went and got every picture I could find of him and made a full-on music video of this guy because he is the pinnacle of white and nerdy.
I love
Somewhere
it.
in my hard drive collection, I've got that video, and I will play it someday.
Oh my gosh, yes, I need to see this forever.
98% of the people I work with fall into the white nerdy category. So
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then you have like all the polka songs, and like I've never been
Oh.
to a actual concert, and I saw that he was touring for like one last time, and I was like, I want to go so bad. Like he would be an amazing first concert to ever go see. And
he's a
then
fun concert. If you get a chance to go to Weird Al concert, I recommend it. So, if you haven't been
seriously,
before.
I want to go so bad.
My wife went with me. She bought me tickets to one time.
Oh, that's a keeper.
All right, so it is getting close to 11:30. We are going to end this here. So yes, for those who are late arrivals, the hell took you so long?
Right?
But we will see you again in a little over 12 hours, as we'll be live for Canar with Damar at 12:15 Eastern. Let's split the difference. Let's really mess with the German. We'll go on the quarter hour instead
I'm
of
going
the.
to be in a swimming pool at 12:13 Eastern.
That sounds
Started
good to
at like
me.
12,
Paris, can I come? You and me?
Wait.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes. And
Whoa,
I'll
whoa,
drop
whoa,
your
whoa,
link.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Wait. Hang on. We've really.
Singular sentence. Singular sentence.
We need.
Coral, I'll make
Paris,
sure
can
that
I
you do.
come? You and me.
I'll make sure she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can
we
fall asleep all tonight.
we have some scheduling to do, so we'll catch you all later.